Okay, guys, welcome to episode 4 of Bricks and Bots. We got Steve and Austin here today for another episode. Today, we are going to be teaching you how to do some open house research before you actually host the open house, hopefully.
Hopefully before you host, it won't be all that useful after. But yeah, this is just to give you a leg up. I mean, you go into an open house, you know that when you're hosting it, you ask people how many places they've been through. Everyone's like 10, and they have all the standard MLS handouts from everyone, and they all look the same, they all sound the same, and no one's impressed with anything. So this is just going to help you make like a nicely formatted open house cheat sheet that will give you all the information that you need to know. It'll also parse it into something that your clients or potential clients through the open house can take with them and have something that's just nice, organized, bullet points, subheaders, and something that's actually maybe going to set you apart, make you look a little more professional.
It also looks like something that you actually, typed out, put some time into, because when people walk into an open house, obviously they're gonna look, okay, square footage and stuff like that, and then if you just repeat the MLS sheet, it's, okay, we found out he can read, and that's that's it.
Yeah,
so
and they've heard that 5 times at this point today,
exactly.
the same spiel from everyone. So
and I'm saying, like, well, I'd say 90% of the people who walk through my open houses are from online. At realtor.ca, and they already know the basic stuff of you. Just if you go in there, 5 minutes before you set up, you actually just read the MLS sheet. They already know all these things, guys. Like, they've already kind of checked off their own little boxes, and that's what brought them to the house to begin with. So if you can provide some value for them that they didn't check on, like the things that we're going to talk about today, it'll also make you look a little bit better. And hey, like, I write these up so when people actually leave the open house, by the time I get home, I send this PDF out to them, right? So, okay, look, he actually did his research. He knows what he's talking about for the area, right?
And if you'd like someone to take something physical, you can always print these off and package them. Like, usually the way that I'll have them set up at our open house is buyer's guide, and inside the buyer's guide will be stapled my business card, the open house cheat sheet, and then the MLS data sheet last. They already know all the stuff there, but it gives them something, especially when you have like a good quality conversation that you can give someone, and they might actually keep that. Now, if you don't have the buyer's guides, just make something. Like, you can get Claude to put together something. It'll kind of walk people through the process, what to expect, which is really helpful for someone who hasn't bought in 20 years or hasn't bought ever.
Exactly. And I mean, I hope you guys know the process of buying. It's not that difficult to actually create your own, especially with some of these like Claude Canvas and stuff like that.
Programs. Yeah, they're incredible.
So it's not that hard to create one, and when you put these little pamphlets together, like I said, it already gives you a leg up, because especially if these people have been to 2-3 open houses, them actually leaving with something else other than just the MLS sheet is, okay, this guy actually did his research, he knows his stuff, right? And the prompts, they're one of the things we're going to touch on today. It will pull the info from the MLS sheet, and it'll say right there, like, okay, Windows 2025, furnace, AC 2022. And these are things that people regularly ask about, and as they should, right? They want to know whether they're going to have to spend an extra $5-10 grand on these things, right?
And it gives you a nice little refresher too. If there's anything that you didn't know about the house in the neighborhood, you're going to know it before you go in there. They're going to have something to take with them that looks high quality, that is well organized, that is something simple that they can pull up without having to scroll through the data sheet with 1,000 words on it.
Exactly. And it's also, the biggest thing is, obviously we can print the MLS sheets, but a lot of the info that is exactly needed as like the upgrades or the price, it's very clearly listed, but sitting there and going through and highlighting it, right? It's tedious, right? I said it's not impossible. It's tedious, right? And at the end of the day, this will just pull all that info from it and label it out for you very, very clearly. And a couple other things we're going to touch on today that aren't in the MLS sheets that will, like we said, set you apart from the actual other agents that they've visited already. So
So let's jump into it. We'll get right into the prompt, the basics of the prompt, and then we'll say, go through the things that are kind of crucial to the prompt and what sources it's going to cite, how it benefits you, how it benefits the clients. So as first, I'll also have the prompt pasted in the description below. So if you want to grab that, feel free to grab that and play with it. But what we're starting with is, Claude, write me an open house cheat sheet that includes home info, neighborhood overview, schools, parks, walkability and transit information, and what makes the neighborhood different from others. And the best thing you can do is say, cite your sources.
Exactly.
So
then you can actually click, and I know we've said this probably on every episode that we've done, please guys, verify the info, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you get somebody coming through who's looking for, in this area, because it lies within a specific school boundary. I know I was working in a neighborhood, that open house I did last weekend. This prompt specifically told me to verify the school boundaries because of different schools popping up. They change all the time, right? So if you're going into a neighborhood and you want your kids hoping to go to this specific school, verify that for them, right? Like, verify that's okay, this is the actual school for this area, right? Because if someone buys a home based off of that information that you gave them,
right,
that's gonna suck, right?
Yeah, they're coming back out.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, the first thing would be, how are you getting the home info into Claude? So go into the MLS, pull the realtor full, the entire thing, including like listing history, just check all the boxes, download that. Attach that PDF with Claude, little plus button next to the text box. Attach that file. Once that file's in there, it's going to be able to read that and pull all the information. One thing I will note, use the MLS Realtor full because it has more information. Also add to the end of your prompt to not include any private information or realtor remarks within there, because it will just pull all the information, start putting the stuff on a cheat sheet, and if you don't read it and you hand that out, your owners probably wouldn't be super thrilled if their names are now out there.
Oh yeah, and that's why I see a lot of actually like MLS realtor fulls, they're actually suppressing the seller name.
Yeah.
Right? Because of stuff like that happening.
Yeah.
Right?
It's definitely worth it because people do just start
anything.
Going through it going, I know that person.
So again, paste that MLS sheet in with the actual prompt. Now this prompt isn't going to be as long as our other prompts.
Nope.
It's essentially like Steve said, we'll copy and paste it. It's, hi, I'm hosting an open house at blank in Hamilton, Ontario, in Stony Creek, Ontario. Please give me the following information. And then you're going to provide, the first one would be home info, and that is going to be your MLS info, price, square footage, rooms, bedrooms, all of the basic stuff you should know before going in there. Of course, keep the MLS sheet with you, but this is just a basic recap. And I also really like that I give this a quick read before I go in there, because it's like we were just talking about 2 minutes ago, scanning that entire MLS sheet. They're made for not getting sued. So they have everything that you can think of on there, and trying to find just a little bit of info on there that is necessary for giving clients during the open house, it's tough. So this just pulls out that info and gives it to you very clearly on a Google Doc.
Yeah, it's more likely the clients are going to read it. So like we were talking about, asking for the neighborhood overview. So it's going to pull the neighborhood name from the MLS. It's then going to pop that into Google. It's going to find information on the neighborhood. That'll be, and it'll pull more than you really need.
Exactly.
It will pull everything from school districts and boundaries, grocery stores, coffee shops, entertainment, and it will list out in bullet form these short things. Now, you go through each one of these major subheaders that we talked about, and then once you have that information, you're going to open Claude Design. It is still in beta, but it is great. So I'm going to add another prompt for the design portion of it in the description, because right now it's kind of finicky, and sometimes it will sit there and say, hey, we've created this cheat sheet, and it's in a format that couldn't be printed on anything. and it's just completely useless. So you're going to go into Claude Design, you're going to copy the entire answer that it gave you, which will happen the little overlapping squares.
Yeah, you don't need to pan and scroll the entire thing.
Yeah, because this will take up more than one screen for sure. So copy and paste that whole thing. Open Design, drop it in Design, all of that information, and say, format all of this into an 8.5 by 11 or whatever printer paper size you're using, and do so with my team name, branding, and ask me any questions required to further format this.
Of course, with any prompt, always adding in that last part that you touched on is so crucial, because Claude itself will go in and, oh, I can fix it up this way, I can fix it up this way. Oh, he prompted me to ask him, right? Now, sometimes it'll ask you questions that you didn't even think of. Oh, that would be cool to add in. Oh, that would look really good, right?
So with this one, I've had it routinely ask me, like, do you want to include the hero photo from the listing? Do you want to include, or what kind of tonality do you want? Do you want your logos included? Do you want any specific mention of branding? And it will just help you fine tune so that if you're a little vague, which most people are, especially when they're first using these things, it will help you eliminate that vagueness, which ultimately yields a better product.
And it also makes it look like I said earlier, that you actually wrote this thing and took the time to do the research. And I mean, essentially, you did, right? Because you're verifying it, but it just gives you an extra level of credibility. Like, people walk in when they get handed this booklet, they're like, okay, like, this guy is actually here not just looking for clients, right? He actually knows about this house. And, you know, I always review the night before, I review the morning of, and just do a quick little read through before my actual open house. And then that way, when people walk downstairs in the utility room, how old's the furnace, right? How old's this? You have this information on the top of your head, and it makes it a lot easier to read. The neighborhood overview is also going to give you what type of ownership is mainly in that neighborhood, whether it's mostly tenanted, owner occupied, older families, newer families, kid friendly, which a lot of people care about if they're looking to buy this home for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So that's a big thing too that comes with the neighborhood overview. Next, we have the schools and parks. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah, so schools and parks especially, you don't need to include it in everyone, obviously, if you're doing a condo in the middle of the downtown. Odds are they're not super fussed about schools and parks. If they don't have kids, if they're not planning to have kids, don't include it. But if your buyers are, let's say you're doing, like last weekend, Brant Hills, nice starter home, needs a lot of work, but it's the kind of thing where people are buying that for the school district. People are buying that for the neighborhood. It's 200 under, guys. If you have a buyer, bring it. But it's way under the average, and you know that all of the people coming through there are going to be first-time buyers or people moving up, young families. So school district is really important to them. So being able to give them the information at a glance, what school district are you in? What are the ratings like for that school? What kind of parks do you have around there? Is there a community center? Just, you know, parents in the middle of summer right now looking to burn off some energy with their kids. What can they do that isn't them sitting in the house and driving them crazy?
Exactly.
So giving them that info at a glance just saves them doing something. And every step that you can save someone ultimately gives you more professional credibility.
And just ask it to cite its source right in the prompt itself, and then that way you can click and actually go in and verify the info yourself.
Yeah, it will give you, like in this case, the Halton District School Board, Halton Catholic School Board, and it will give you those. It will link you directly to those in its answer, so you can just click that, look at the page, go, okay, yes, the address does fall within this. No, it doesn't. If it doesn't, you can correct it if it does, which so far they've been pretty good about it, with the exception of the odd really new development where school zones are shifting week over week coming into the new school year. But in every other case, yeah, you can use these sources, and verify just to make sure that you're not providing false information.
And I mean, this one's also a big one where if you have a parent who works shift work at a hospital, down at Fasco, something like that, even if they're on night shifts where they're not able to take their kids to school in the morning, this will allow them to actually verify the school, like you just said, and call that school and see if that home is actually on a bus route so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you could definitely, we might be able to figure out a way to add that in.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll play around with that.
Because the bus routes would probably be on the actual site that it's sourced to begin with.
So either the school district site or the school's website. Yeah, we can probably figure this out.
Yeah.
We might be able to add that. You'll see an update to the comment in the description if we figure out how to do that in a reliable fashion.
Next would be the walkability in transit.
Yep.
There's a website, I forget what it's called. It gives the walkability score of a lot of neighborhoods, and especially transit. This is also another good one if they have kids, especially during the summer. Like, how many transit stops are in this actual neighborhood? Where can I catch the bus? Where does it go to? How long is it going to take? I mean, I have a client right now that's looking down in Stony Creek. Like I said, recently hosted open houses there. The walkability is horrible for it, right? Beautiful neighborhood. But it essentially, when I did this prompt for it, it was a car is a necessity for being in here. Because although, it's close to a Costco, right? You get Eastgate down there. It's across a highway. Yeah. So walking there,
you're not making that
exactly. Like, walking there is a bit of an iffy thing. Yeah. So this also lets, okay, does your client have an older mom that doesn't have access to a car? Kids don't have access to cars yet. How old are they? So that walkability in transit is key. Again, for some clients, right? People are going to relate to 2 or 3, 4 of these more than others, but just providing people with the full range of info, so that way it's a catch-all cheat sheet.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing is really what sets the neighborhood apart. And that's a big thing. It will, and if you actually watch it when it's doing its thinking process, or whatever word it's deciding to call thinking that week, it will...
mulligating, whatever it does.
Cooking. It will go through and look at the different neighborhoods within the city, and it will try to decipher what actually makes it different. Now, in the case of something like if you're comparing Brant Hills to Heddon Forest to Mountainside to Millcroft, there's not going to be a huge difference because they're basically similar neighborhoods built at different times. But it will still try to decipher, like in the case of Brant Hills, one of the defining features is that it is an older neighborhood within the city, but with larger homes. It does have a very mature feeling, not grid pattern streets, very kind of winding cul-de-sac feel, huge trees, very mature canopy. So it did mention that, and that was one of the things where, for anyone who lives in Burlington or grew up in Burlington, it doesn't really matter to them. But for someone who's moving here, might be moving from out of city and is trying to figure things out, it might be something where they go, oh, okay, well, now I know exactly what I'm looking at.
Exactly what you're getting into. And it's the what makes this neighborhood different is like those little things that you just touched on. I've had one of these prompts even pop up that people maintain their lawns in this neighborhood very well.
Yeah,
right.
And that's pulling from like Google Street Info and stuff. But it's like it does make a difference if you're going one neighborhood to the next. And it is interesting to use this week over week. You see how it starts,
how it changes,
defining the different areas.
And so, if you want to actually know what it's doing, when it is going through each of these prompts, I always click the thinking thing and I pull down the code that it's running just to see what it's actually doing. And so like what site it's sourcing, you know, how quickly it's going through them, right? And it does it relatively quickly, but actually just seeing this thing work is cool. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely worth playing around with if you're someone who hosts open houses a lot, if this is like your bread and butter like it is with you and I. Absolutely worth getting into, because it is something that will allow you to be set apart from the other agents. And between the research phase of it and the design phase of it, I can't say I've spent more than 20 minutes
Not even
on these
Not
to
even,
pull to pull everything, have it designed, printed, packages done.
The biggest thing is, I think with kind of a going rate that we have here is we are saving agents time, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
We're not saying that, of course, all this info is online. That's where Claude is pulling it from. But actually going in and pulling all this stuff yourself and verifying it, right? Now, that's where the tedious work comes in, right? This just eliminates the full 75% of that step, right? Of course, go in, verify all your info. I know I've said that. I'm going to say it 2 more times before this episode is over, just to reiterate it, right? The last thing that you want to throw in there is a things to know before moving here. This is going to wrap up kind of everything that we touched on before: the neighborhood overview, the MLS info, the schools, the parks, walkability. This is where it's going to say, make sure you have a car, as walkability is horrible here. This is where it's going to say school boundaries are constantly changing. There's a new school being built. Make sure to verify that.
There's a new development going in to the north, the east, southwest, whatever it might be. Neighborhood is prone to flooding during heavy rainfall, like some of the older neighborhoods, especially in Hamilton, some of the ones that lie closer to the lake.
Yeah.
I've seen that warning come up.
Exactly.
And, I mean, not the greatest selling point, but it is something that we found that, like, brutal honesty with potential customers is a lot of what wins them over. And being able to say, like, hey guys, just so you know, the waterproofing has been done here. It's been done recently. So yes, while this is a problem in this area, these things have been done to prevent it. Or if they haven't, you're at least giving them notice to know what they're going to get into over time.
Exactly. I've even had it pop up, say, where survey measurements are extremely inaccurate. Make sure to verify. I've even had it pop up where, okay, furnace, AC, these things haven't been done. Last known date that they were done is unavailable. Please verify. So it's even asking you to go in and check these things, right? And these are all awesome points that if you are just, like you said, brutally honest with your clients and just, I'd rather build trust than get a sale at the end of the day. Because in a year from now, if they don't decide to buy, or in 2 years, they're gonna call you and be like, hey, listen, you were straight up with us. We're looking at this home. You available for a showing, right?
Yeah, ultimately I think they're not mutually exclusive. The trust is what's going to get you the sale.
100%.
Ultimately, because people want to work with someone that they feel they can trust with such an expensive purchase, with such an expensive endeavor. So if you can be honest with them, if you're the one person they talked to that day who provided them all the info, was upfront with them about the shortcomings, was honest with them if they aren't in the school district, you didn't tell them that it was, they're going to trust you more than everyone else.
Exactly.
And the blend of professionalism and honesty is ultimately what's going to get
100%. And it's also, just because this property or this open house doesn't line up with exactly what they're looking for, they're going to say, hey, Steve, doesn't really work for us. What else do you have for us, right? So,
and if you really want to get into an additional thing that you can do after this is say, based on the info for this house, find me the 2 or 3 most similar homes within 1 kilometer, and it will start pulling those 2. And then, so at least then you have a little additional info that you can share with them. Ultimately, the goal is to get the open house sold. But if you can't get that house sold, go sell them something else.
Go get another one.
Have the information prepared.
And you should always, I mean, I always do, you know, the 1, 2, 3 closest listings. The Prospect mobile app is wicked for that. That InstaView, click, and it'll give you a little quick breakdown of, you know, the closest 3 properties. It does have a limit on range though, so sometimes if you're in that detached, bigger neighborhood, it is a bit iffy. But don't do it in a condo because you'll get 800 of them. But
yeah, well, I think that kind of wraps up what we wanted to cover today.
Yes, sir.
So, as always, prompts will be in the description. Subscribe if you want to hear more from us. And if you have any questions, DM us, leave a comment, reach out to us in any one of the many ways you can find us.
Of course, both our Instagrams are on the main page too. And again, guys, Austin's famous words, verify your info before you start handing this out to people. It'll save you so much time and headache in the back end. But thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next week.
Yeah.